Whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on through our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. My latest book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. For approximately 2 years now, I have gone on a painstaking quest to investigate the rise and fall of an American icon, Bill Cosby. In the mid-1980s, there was not a star that was higher than Cosby. Advertisements with Coca-Cola, Jello, Kodak, along with the #1 television show for 5 straight years in a row. On Thursday nights, it was must-see TV on NBC. Cosby resurrected the genre of the traditional family sitcom that was once thought dead by television critics. He did this as a Black American with an all-Black cast and showed mainstream network executives in white America that it was possible to be successful without showing the worst in people. He also demonstrated the power that television had, as it can make younger people dream to be the best that they can be. However, like many celebrity stars, unfortunately, they all come crashing down, sometimes by their own fault, others not so much. In this book, I attempted to highlight certain things. We go in depth into both of his trials in 2017 and 2018, respectively. What if I told you that these criminal trials were politically motivated by an overzealous district attorney? Will you also be shocked to learn the attacks on Mr. Cosby did not start in 2014, but also in the 90s, not long after his attempted quest to purchase a major network? From where did all of these allegations of sexual misconduct come from? Were the accusers telling the truth? In the 2 years of research, with some help from others interested in learning the truth and facts about this case, we discussed both the legal reasons why his prosecution and trial were illegal, unwarranted, and also the possible personal motives as to why this may have occurred. Most importantly, we warn about the dangers of prejudice and why trial by social media, or mainstream media rather, should never be the norm. All this and more in The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in America. Available on Amazon this fall in Kindle and paperback format. Yes. Wherever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe, ladies and gentlemen. The place to be is right here with me. It is Random Topic Tuesdays, only on channel GBoot2786. Wherever you are, I hope you're blessed and doing safe. Tonight on our channel, we discussed the following. Deshaun Watson suspended for 6 games by the NFL. Was it fair? House of Representatives passes H.R. 1808, the latest gun control measure. All this and more tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And joining us will be the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, who will come and talk about demasculation and emasculation in this country and how damn frustrating it is. Also, he's going to promote his barbecue sauce. But I figured I'd get the impression out the way before the judge comes on. But we also have our brother Bernard, who's in the he'll be coming in soon. So we'll get started in a minute. Of course, in the meantime, hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you have not already, because YouTube has us on a shadow ban and demonetized, but we like to still let people know we're here. So subscribe to our 2 channels, GBoot2786 and Gavin Richard. Share it with your friends. Share and share alike, ladies and gentlemen. Also, of course, we have the Cash App and PayPal, as well as Google Pay and Zelle, in which you can support us. And we may take some calls later today, but not at the moment. But hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Of course, also, another way to support us is purchasing some Nonnie's Creole blends. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nonnie's goes great with every dish. You go there right now, and you can order some seasoning and enjoy it. I have the link to it here. I don't know what happened. They take off my link. Hold on. There it is there. All right. So we have NonniesCreoleBlends.com, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, our theme song, as always, you can support us. Yeah, go right there, order some, the click button right there. And the good thing about Nonnie's Creole Blend is that there's very little salt in it. So it's actually great for those who suffer from hypertension and high blood pressure. It's very healthy. So I should say it's healthier. It's spicier too. It's Taste of New Orleans. So go ahead and get that. And also check out our video releases, Video Soul, and Gotta Get On Up. So as we always do, before we get on down, it's now time to get on up, ladies and gentlemen. So let's feel the groove and get on the floor. It's time to get on up. Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat, because on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up, baby. Yeah, gotta get on up. Come on, baby, gotta get on up, baby. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. What's up, family? Feel the groove, get on the floor. Gotta get on up. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? I'm your humble host, Gavin Richard. Welcome to another issue of Random Topic Tuesdays, only on channel GBoot2786 and Gavin Richard on our YouTube channels. And also if you're watching on Facebook and Twitter via Periscope, enjoy. And of course, I have a special guest, another one who came in, Dad. So say hello, Dad.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Gav. Hi, family. Hope you're feeling well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hear ye, hear ye. All rise for his honor. He's here, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown. How you doing, Judge?
I'll manage, at least in a mad rush, young man. And hello to Dad. All right.
Hello. Judge. Yeah, and we also have another guest, Judge Bernard is in the building.
Young Master Johnson, how are you, son? Okay.
I'm doing all right, sir. How you doing?
Judge, how is the barbecue sauce going, the sales on that?
It's doing well. We're going to be on the shelves before very long. I just signed an agreement with a major marketing entity so that you can order it and they can deliver it in their electric vans.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah. Okay.
Oh, I didn't mean to just interrupt you. Yeah, keep going if you want to talk.
No, I mean that's it. That's just the latest upgrade. It's doing well. People like it.
Yeah.
We have recipes too. So it is what it is. And if you're in Los Angeles, California, you can go to 79th and Western down in the hood, and on the corner there is an establishment known as D's Original Takeout Grill. That's D as in Delta. That stands for Chef Damon, who was an engineer, and then he decided to get into cooking, and he does all this celebrity catering. So he worked out changing the formula from good old time stuff to that kind of thing that they can sell at Sprouts or the Whole Foods or someplace like that. So you can eat it without guilt, or put it on and slurp it down.
Oh, that sounds real good. It sounds tasty too. And Brother Bernard, you've been doing things. I know you work. You do fitness as well, training.
I've been doing it all. I've been at summer camps, talking to children and everything. Well, I'm not just talking to them, but going to see what the programs are like. But you know what? I was talking the other day, and we've been talking about this manhood thing, right? But we gotta talk about this womanhood thing too. Right, to be better woman to get on. But I was pulling up at Food Line the other day, man, and you sometimes you see the sisters with the long lashes on now and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But now they got the cars with the lashes on. They got the headlights with
headlights look like bat wings.
Yeah. I'm just sitting there saying
1, 2, 3, bat. 1, 2, 3, very.
They call it beauty enhancement, but I'm like, you're already beautiful as it is. What's all this enhancement? I mean, I just don't.
Yeah. Well,
Have you heard this when they say about you can't really predict the weather because it may be determined because of the way a butterfly flapped its wings in Central Park in New York? Well, I guess they're trying to influence the weather so they can flap their eyes, and I guess that's good. When in trouble, they can get away. Just flap a little bit, takes a little practice, and they can play Superwoman and
like Mary Poppins.
Oh, and how you doing?
Mary Poppins.
How you doing, Dad? I just realized,
Maud said hello.
Hello.
All right.
How you doing?
All right.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, let's get started. I guess I'll talk about this first because I want to bring the judge on and welcome everybody. I want to talk about Deshaun Watson incident. He's been suspended for 6 games by the NFL, and I asked what is fair. Was it fair? So what happened, as many people may or may not know, just to update them on yesterday, a arbitrator appointed by the NFL had ruled that Deshaun Watson, her name is Sue Robinson. She's a former federal judge, actually, Judge Joe, and she made a decision in regards to Deshaun Watson and his suspension from the NFL. In this decision, and I'm going to put it up here, she cited the collective bargaining agreement between the NFL and the NFLPA, which is the Players Association, that authorized the commissioner of the NFL to discipline players for conduct detrimental to the integrity of or public confidence in the game of professional football. So the NFL has what's called a personal conduct policy, which is meant to define, address, and sanction conduct found to be detrimental to the league and professional football. In her findings, and I'm going to share with you how the media treated this, but in her findings, she said that Deshaun Watson, she found that he engaged in non-consensual sexual assault, but did not believe he was violent. According to her findings, and it's important to note, she says that the allegations were that Deshaun Watson, a player in the NFL, violated 3 provisions of the policy by engaging in sexual assault, conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person, and conduct that undermines or puts at risk the integrity of the NFL. She stated that they had interviewed several women, and also they're talking about this is what's prohibited conduct that they added in here, including violence or threatening behavior towards another person, another employee or third party in the working place, and assault and battery, including sexual assault. Now, It's important to note Deshaun Watson, judge, has never been charged. He's never been convicted on any of these things. He has been sued in court, and he did settle, I believe, at least 22 out of the 24 lawsuits, if I'm not mistaken. It settled most, if not all of them. And the grand jury in Houston came back with a no bill, which means, as for those that don't know the legalese, that means no bill of indictment, no bill of information is to be filed because they didn't find that there was probable cause. I think there are 2 grand juries that declined to initiate a prosecution against Mr. Watson. Nevertheless, one of the things that piqued my interest, she stated in here, and I was trying to find it, but she stated Mr. Watson requested that therapists use a towel to cover his private parts rather than the more typical used sheet. Mr. Watson often provided his own towels, which have been variously described as medium, small towels, or Gatorade towels. So what they're saying is that he engaged in what the NFL characterized as sexualized behavior because Mr. Watson knew, according to her, that there was a substantial likelihood that the towel would fall off.
What they're talking about is the assault basically consisted of him getting a hard-on multiple occasions. Now, those of us who are older wish like hell you could get a hard-on on cue and say, hey, let it rise. And, you know, that cut down the sales of Viagra, Cialis, and a whole lot of other things, if that was true. So that's more like he's getting charged with an assault for having an involuntary reflex to stimulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So he's saying, but anyway, I thought they were going to proceed under a claim that this was part of the U.S. Arbitration Act of 1928 that allows anybody in the country to substitute binding contractual arbitration for any judicial proceeding, though when it comes to criminal liability, there is that Fifth Amendment problem. Now here, the grand jury returns 2 no true bills, which means they fail to find probable cause and indicate that there is a lack of that. Well, that's kind of interesting. That basically puts it back into the realm of unproven or unprovable allegations become sufficient to deprive someone of property, in this case, economic interest, liberty, meaning the ability to continue to engage in this voluntary vocation of playing professional football. So that's deprivation of liberty and property out of the 3: life, liberty, and property without due process of law. It's an interesting conundrum that is becoming more and more apparent these days. And from what I was reading, it looked like it was simply an unpleasant situation that has been temperamentally carried into a battery or an assault, which, by the way, that might be a better better claim, because an assault, unlike the ignorant stuff they put out now, is supposed to be something that causes a person to reasonably apprehend that he or she will be subjected to an unpermitted touching, not done in the sense or spirit of pleasantry.
Mm-hmm.
A battery is that unpermitted touching, not in the sense or spirit of pleasantry. What that means is you come up and slap somebody across the back. Hey, John. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it wasn't John. I mistook it. See, that was a slap in the sense of pleasantry, a vigorous pat on the back. That's not a battery, but people who, well, that's too complicated to understand, they want to term the whole thing assault now, which is out of the picture. And you remember the classic English case on assault. An old man sued a young man, and the alleged assault was Sir, if you weren't so old, I'd run you through with my sword, but you're not worth the trouble. So since he indicated that he was not because the complainant was too old, that was not something that would reasonably provoke an apprehension that there was about to be an unpermitted touching, or in this case, getting run through by a sword. So he's on the table, she's massaging him, and the towel gets to rising. I mean,
Well, yeah,
or he jacks off, according to the
right.
complaint.
So how long you stayed while he jacked off? I mean,
Yeah, why'd you leave the room? I said, hey, let me go get some ice water
it's
for
on
you.
my arm. Ugh. She waited until he jizzed on her arm.
See,
My thing,
that,
but Judge, my thing too, and I want to talk about the media, but doesn't it surprise you that these women were mostly represented by that lawyer Busby, and he was neighbors with the Texans owner, and supposedly,
yeah, that makes it a little suspect. The other thing is that leads into another one of my least favorite topics, that is hate speech that is becoming so popular. In other words, you want to make it criminal or against the law for somebody to make somebody else feel uncomfortable or to hurt somebody's feelings.
Mhm.
Well, that's not actionable under American law and under the First Amendment unless you defame someone's character and what you say about them is not in fact true, which is an absolute defense to a defamation action. And other than that, you can say practically anything you want to say outside of, well, the case was original Fayette County Welfare League. Uh, the decision was by Judge Bailey Brown, 1962, I believe it was, or four. For the Sixth Circuit, it says unless fighting words are being uttered or something like falsely yelling fire in a crowded theater and the circumstances likely to provoke public disorder, well, you can say what you want to say.
Yeah,
So we're getting away from that. And oh, I feel uncomfortable. Oh, my feelings are hurt. Well, you know, First Amendment doesn't really give a damn about somebody's feelings
right.
as long as what you're saying is true about the person. You're a low down, money grabbing, bribe taking scoundrel. What the hell? See, people don't usually bring these actions because when they're in the public domain, you're likely to get stuff brought up during discovery where the person can say, I'm only attempting to prove that he was a low down, bribe taking scoundrel. And then you have New York Times versus Sullivan, 1962. That's a U.S. Supreme Court that's pretty detailed about what constitutes defamation of character when you have a public figure. So, I mean, all of these things, that's going to hate speech and that kind of nonsense. And hate speech, if you take a historical perspective on it, almost invariably turns around and bites the people in the ass that it's supposed to be protecting from hurt feelings within a decade.
Yeah. I want to share.
Yeah.
I want to share with you now. This lady, her name is Shalice Young. She's a columnist for Yahoo Sports. If
She
you
look like
read,
a feminist.
She doesn't
well,
look feminist. She is a woman. It's not a trans, is it?
she says she has a husband, a grown son, and three
Well,
daughters.
yes, she's
I,
straight.
but I
Well,
want
maybe.
the title of this. By Sue Robinson's own findings, it's hard to feel Deshaun Watson's conduct was nonviolent. Now, I'm talking about this because, as I've noticed, and I knew this was going to happen, once he got suspended, once they came out with this, the feminist movement was going to start. The attacks were going to start. They are saying it's a joke. He got suspended 6 games. Well, Ben Roethlisberger got the same punishment when he was accused of rape, which is honestly more severe than what Deshaun Watson is accused of. But what they are saying in here, and I had a chance to read into it, She says the judge acknowledges the crimes were committed, even say they believe the robber will do the same thing again. But since they never actually harmed you with the weapon or their fist and only verbally threaten you, the punishment will be 5 hours of unsupervised community service. You'd be furious, right? After all, you may not have been physically hurt, but the mental and emotional damage meant weeks of vivid nightmares, and even months long later, you're terrified to walk in your neighborhood, the one that not so long ago felt comfortable. This is in a nutshell, is what independent arbitrator Sue L. Robinson said to the accusers of Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson in her decision released Monday, the meandering one in which she wrote Watson did commit sexual assault, but in her estimation, it was not violent. Now, just listening to this,
Well, it's not violent. Robbery is the forcible taking of the property of another with the intent to convert it to the miscreant's own use by use of force or violence or the threat thereof. Under this circumstance, it's a theft because there was no immediate or overt threat of violence. It's a theft.
well, my point is how the media.
Yeah, I know. In other words, they don't get it. They are driven by emotional. Oh my God! Well, lady, you got a thing running up under this woman that wrote this. She also is extremely anti-gun. And there was an old saying from the 19th century: God made man, I guess, and women, and Colonel Colt, the inventor of the six-shooter, made them equal. So this woman that wrote this article is vehemently opposed to Second Amendment matters, and it seems that if this was intimidating her, maybe she needs to recant that and learn how to be properly armed and defend herself, and maybe such a thing would not make her feel helpless and having nightmares and intimidation.
But when you read, yeah, but
Yeah,
my
I mean, I just read that, and I'm familiar with or read some of the stuff the writer has put out before. So that's just on first impression.
she said to some of us that sounds like a predator, someone who knows that they are doing it, what they're doing is wrong, does it anyway, and could do it again in the future. And yet, given all of this, Robinson gave Watson what amounts to a slap on the wrist. His
Okay,
non-throwing.
what was she going to do to him? She doesn't have criminal jurisdiction, you fool ignoramus. Apprise yourself of what the Constitution says. This is predicated on him keeping his employment status with a private concern, a football team, a business enterprise. It's internal to them. It has absolutely nothing to do with the public interest in terms of something against the public peace, dignity, and order of the state or the United States. A grand jury on 2 separate occasions has returned no true bills of indictment. That's it. So all of this other nonsense and the corresponding analogy is bogus because we're not talking about a criminal matter.
And she's getting tore up in the comments. Someone wrote this. They, although they have maybe a couple that seem to agree with her, but they say here, if you feel he is guilty of a crime, then you should complain about the DA, not an arbitrary judge who decides how many games Watson is suspended. The NFL,
And then the other thing was it's the grand jury.
right. I wonder
and-
why 2 grand juries that I imagine heard the same evidence chose not to indict him.
Because they didn't think there was any criminality to the thing. I mean, honest to goodness, a guy getting a hard on because some woman's rubbing on him while he's naked. I mean, that's not polite, but I mean, some people are more usually excited than others. Maybe he had sufficient ration of nookie for the month or the week or whatever it may be.
Well, I mean, an erection also, that's an involuntary reflex. I mean,
That's it.
If you see
and you have mens rea, evil intent. And like I said jokingly, if all it took was intent, we would need Viagra and Cialis.
Right. But Bernard, what you got to say about this? Because my thing, and let me just share with this one comment before you come in, Bernard. He says this article is not very subjective. What the writer is leaving out is that Watson wasn't convicted of any crime, and that all of the allegations against him are still unproven. If he were found guilty of a crime, then this story might be appropriate. If I were Watson or his NFLPA rep, I would be appealing the suspension since there's no actual proof that he didn't do anything wrong. Allegations and hearsay are not proof. And he's right about that. But, the thing with the NFL, too, you have to remember is that they're a private organization. They have a 501c3 status. They're tax exempt. And, they gave the commissioner these powers to do such things where even if you are not convicted, just the image of it, they have a right to suspend you, although I don't care for it personally. And I think it's a way of putting you in your place, boy. But Bernard, go ahead and chime in.
Massage parlor, man, me a little bit of Robert Kraft. And
he put his mouth up and talked about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to tell you. You took the word from my mouth. Yeah, right? Yeah, Robert Kraft going massage parlors too. And he said it was a shame he only got 6 games.
How about
this? Crazy, right?
How about this one?
Yeah.
How about men get a right to intervene and demand that Lizzo get banned from public appearances in certain venues, such as sports arenas, because when she takes her fat ass and waggles it around naked, we get so offended we can't get a hard on if we had a flashback.
Yeah.
Did you see her at the BET Awards? Corey Holcomb made a joke and said she got all the descendants of Fred Rerun Berry to come out and dance so she wouldn't look embarrassed if she danced with somebody that was fit. Well, they had sissy boos out there too. The BET was promoting.
But this Robert Kraft right here. See, Robert Kraft was the owner. He couldn't be suspended. But they buried that under the rug and got it out of the way real quick. Deshaun Watson, they kept it on for a year and some change. But this is the thing. NFL basically saying, I'm suspending you on a morals clause. Like, either he did it, he didn't. They were selling lawsuits. I think he's selling 23 or 23 lawsuits, right? So what's the big deal? Just calm down. Like, what is it? Like, why you keep on messing with Deshaun? To me, he could have played. To me, it didn't matter if he played or not. He still got $250 million contract. So what up?
And he sat out. Let's not forget, he sat out a whole year. So if I were him, I would be appealing this. And I would have done what Jonathan Vilma and the New Orleans Saints did. Jonathan Vilma and I can't think of the other players, but when they had the Bounty Gate thing, and she cited this in here, Vilma appealed the suspension and tried to get it in federal court. They said, well, you can't get it in federal court because the NFL was saying because you agreed to this under the NFLPA.
That's U.S. Arbitration Act of 1928. I got beneficiary of that with my show in a 2007 U.S. Supreme Court case. Also the same thing from the California Supreme Court in the 23-page written opinion issued in 2000. I was a party to that one. But anyway, he agreed to it. I was unaware of the arbitration clause, and effectively what he said was relative to playing, he would be bound by it. But the interesting thing is that they put a lot of these players in a position that would require them to give up a lot of wherewithal in terms of economic gain if they were to exercise their constitutional Fifth Amendment right, Bill of Rights.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is.
It's not that he agreed with it, Judge. His union agreed to.
Yeah, but he's got a contract with the union, and he agrees that he's playing in a union shop, and as part of his employment agreement, he agrees to become a union member.
Right. But see, Robert Kraft is a hypocrite.
Well, that's no doubt.
He got a rub and tub in a Florida massage parlor, and his charges were dropped. But then he was charged with soliciting a prostitute. So he tried to get a rub and tug.
Tugging table stuff.
Yeah.
Rub and tug, not tub.
And
rub and tug.
And yet he writes this and says, this is an embarrassment. The independent arbitrator coming back with only a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson is frankly an embarrassment for the entire league. Robert Kraft, you're an embarrassment. You got busted with a prostitute trying to get some at a massage parlor, and you're talking about Deshaun Watson?
Oh, look, let's be candid. They've softened up the game. It no longer has the gladiatorial componentry that it used to. You look at a football game, and if that's all you've seen, you show up at a stadium, and my God, this place is so behind the times. Why? They don't have the lines on the field to show you where the first down is. What? And then you say, oh, those computer-generated lines they have for those who are ignorant of the rules and don't know what the chain is for and the down markers are about. Oh, we got to dummy it up for them, where children get to vote on the halftime commercials on the Super Bowl. You get peanuts balloons from Macy's Parade being used for dull, dumb commercials because the children are allowed to vote on them. You have the ridiculous thing of wardrobe malfunction where everybody goes berserk because if you just happen to tape the damn thing, slow it all the way down, and frame by frame go through it, you can see some of the memories of Janet Jackson. Some of the memory, I think, is her left one of Janet Jackson with a huge starburst around the nipple that's showing less than you get from the typical bikini top at a beach these days. And then you turn right around and you've got Lizzo the hippo with a bare ass twerking on the floor of the Staples Center during a Lakers game with many young boys looking at it. It gets ridiculous. It's just opportunism as it applies to those who want to impose their outlook on things on the rest of everybody. So we have enough of that.
Yeah. Dad, do you have a comment?
No, I don't have a comment.
Okay. Bernard, you were finished?
Well, I just want to say this about Robert Kraft. See, that's the thing, like Jim Irsay and all these owners, they will really like go out there and make statements, but they don't adhere to the statements. That's the only thing I got to say about Robert Kraft. So Jim Irsay, whether it was Carson Wentz or this guy, that guy, they go blabbering off at the mouth, but hey, money talks, bullshit walks, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
That works.
Wow, we whoopee.
Right. I mean, yeah, you mentioned Jim Irsay. I remember when he had a DUI a few years back. He was driving out in Indianapolis.
Scrub it under the rug.
Yeah. Nothing happened with him. Robert Kraft, nothing happened with him. Yeah, a lot of those guys who are rich and wealthy. And let's just
forget about Jerry Jones, though.
Yeah. Clint Murchison was the one who owned the Cowboys before Jerry Jones. He was an oil man.
In regards to $250 million, I wouldn't give a damn if I wouldn't throw another pass in my life.
That's right. I agree with that too.
This man is going to get paid. That's the reality of the issue. He's going to get paid regardless.
And the NFL is not the police. They can't arrest Deshaun Watson, and he sat out a year already, which would have been stuff. Yeah, Vince McMahon too. Yeah, he's been accused of stuff. Yeah, he's allowed to retire. He's retiring when his stuff was gone. But I mean, I had heard all of this stuff before. It's like we're going back over in time with a lot of people on stuff that was already made public, and we're just rehashing it now, trying to go back at them. I'm just tired of all of this stuff. But beware of broads that write stuff on Yahoo Sports and that's the point I was making, Judge. They're writing stuff on Yahoo Sports and USA Today, talking about the man and talking about him. It just doesn't. That's why you can't trust media today. National media has an agenda. that they try to push.
Obviously. I mean, good taste is good taste, man. Don't get a hard on when you're getting a rub down. You know, if you can't deal with it, don't go. You got enough cash in the bank and enough brawn to sit there and pull down all kinds of finance, whatever you want to pull down. So, man, it's uncool, but I mean, come on now.
Yeah. But do you think this is a reference to just this part of the Me Too thing? The
I think it is.
heterosexual, yeah.
I think it is. See, let me explain something. At base of every damn system on the planet Earth today, at base in all human interaction with each other, there are two things: either physical might makes right, or pussy and the withholding thereof. See, women are the sole source and supply of pussy on the planet Earth. And they can withhold it, and unless somebody wants to go abuse them and rape them, then that's punishment for not doing what they want you to do if you're relating to them. On the other hand, at base, it's about power. And when women become too disinclined to recognize that essentially when it comes to the human race, there is a standoff balance between their pussy power and the ability of a man to impose by raw physical violence. Remember, we are the apex predator on the planet, and it is the male of the species that is best adapted to that role, with large creatures that can stomp, gore, and bite back. That said, some people don't like their lot in life, and the 50-50 dice throw that says you could churn out XX or XY, they don't like what they got dealt and they want to swap around and change the realities. A woman who understands pussy power can always get her way over the worst damn brute. A brute may not get his way, and then there's the rest of the system and society that says we just don't treat our women that way because they're such a valuable resource. We used to have a saying back in the 60s: power to the people, black power to black people, white power to white people, etc., and pussy power to the vanguard. So that was a takeoff on what the Panther Party had, but it was what it was. So, I mean, some people feel offended that they have those resources. But Mother Nature, you know, there are the bulls and there are the cows, there are the boar, there are the sows. And there are the boys and there are the girls. There are the dogs and there are the bitches. There are all sorts of things. And plumage, smell, size, deportment, they distinguish male from female. But a lot of people, because in the last 2 or 3 decades have decided they didn't like their lot in life, they want to trade off that perspective. We're trying to undo, what is it, 3.5, perhaps 4 billion years of evolution on the planet Earth. While we whoopee, it ain't gonna happen. Be nice, guys. Treat the women like ladies when they act like ladies. When they act like sluts, tell them they're acting like sluts. Do not respond to that. Same thing. Ladies, treat the guys like they're gentlemen. If they don't act that way, tell them. You know, we've had this little back and forth, the war between the sexes, since there have been humans on the planet, and probably some more primitive edition of that from long before.
Yeah. And that's just what I'm talking about. Even on NFL's website, this woman, Judy Batista, said response to Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension represents an important litmus test for the NFL.
Well, don't watch the damn thing.
Yeah.
Don't like it, don't watch it.
They say he was a repeat sexual assailant. But I think it's proving, though, that You are innocent until proven guilty has not been criminally indicted, as we've stated, but they still say you're an assaulter. You still assaulted these women.
Well, I mean,
like with OJ, you killed. You didn't. You were found not guilty, but we still say you did it.
well, actually, it's Nancy Grace with her sleazy ass who came up with the idea that he was guilty. Most people today look like down on her and her whole thing, but few realized that she was the one that put that out when she kept saying the evidence against OJ today was devastating. There's no way that the defense can overcome this. When actually, if you look at it, as I taped every scrap of it on the TV set in my chambers, and I was a bachelor, I'd look at it before I went home every day. And it wouldn't, sometimes it would be, it doesn't get any better than this for the defense. And she was saying there's no way the defense can overcome it. You know, what the hell is she talking about? At that point, nobody knew what a sleaze she was. So it is what it is. So now everybody thinks OJ got away with something. Now, I had the opportunity to review all of the evidence in the evidence room, and I know personally some of the people that were called by the state as witnesses for their case. And what I saw indicates they didn't even have barely probable cause on OJ, but they did have it on Mark Furman, the detective. And as a matter of fact, it was strongly indicative of police misconduct. And as a historical reality, 4 of the chief detectives involved on the OJ case wound up doing some time in the California penitentiary for wrongdoing and planting and falsifying evidence in what's known as the Rampart scandal, where they had to let 128 people out of the penitentiary in California because those 4 detectives and others had planted false evidence on them. And as a matter of fact, in the trial that came out, though the sleaze Grace did not mention that, but it was certainly apparent on final argument where OJ had a split screen, and on this side you're looking at the foot of the bed. It says 1:14 a.m. in the morning. There are no bloody socks. And then almost an hour later, when crime scene came in, you're looking at bloody socks from the same view. And in between, the jury saw when the security squad was there videoing stuff to see if anything was going to be stolen by detectives. You saw Furman get told to get out of the place. He had no business being in there. You saw him come back. They panned the camera around, and you saw Furman standing at the foot of this bed, where a half hour previously there were no bloody socks, but right after he leaves, you see bloody socks.
Right. And I remember that. Then on top of that, the glove that was found, the glove didn't fit the man's hand.
Well, not only that, I talked to the guy that made the gloves, and he said they took a tracing of everybody's hand. OJ had a 2XL, Furman had a L, a large, and the glove was a size large with the label in it. And OJ had a 2XL. One of my brothers, now deceased as of early last year, he was called as a witness on unarmed knife killing, and he said, first off, OJ is right-handed. Whoever killed these 2 people was left-handed. It was a probe because each of them got the same fatal injury delivered onto them with one knife thrust. And then while they were quickly expiring, somebody slit their throats from ear to ear, reached in with some pliers and pulled their tongues out. That's a Colombian necktie. There was blood all over the ground, and there were 2 sets of footprints. One of them was somebody that wore a size 9, and one somebody that wore a size 10 or 10 and a half, and OJ wore a size 12.
Right.
So, I mean,
it's also important to note that he was catching the plane, and the airline pilot verified that there were no cuts on his fingers.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that my brother said to Darden and Clark, if he had did all of this, etc., there was no way he was going to get on an airplane that morning, because it would have taken a long time to clean up after all of this. So, I mean, they had no case. The DNA that Nancy Grace said was condemning, well, the guy who was the instructor for the two that the state was trying to rely upon, whom they did not know when they called the third individual, was the trainer, the first two. He said, this is not OJ. If OJ was in fact the donor, this is what the pattern would have looked like. And he juxtaposed them, and there's no way. He said, this shows that whoever did this was somebody from the Northeast Mediterranean area, or Sicily. And there are approximately 96,000 individuals in LA County who could have donated this sample. It is certainly not indicative, and certainly does not narrow it down to OJ. And then we had testimony remotely that the jury didn't even hear, but that was there from two witnesses in the Witness for Protection Program. And guess what they said? Some people with Sicilian backgrounds were interested in conveying a message to them, and they just thought Nicole was an ordinary, affluent junkie in the West Hollywood area who was known as what they call a fag hag to the gay community down on Santa Monica Boulevard, known derisively as the Boys Club in LA. So she bought a lot of drugs for that bunch and liked to hang with them. And that was what apparently they were alleging Rod Goldman was into. And then that thing about he was getting jealous, well, they had quite a few witnesses who testified that the public seems unaware of, who said, we were with OJ when he ran into Nicole, screwing somebody on the couch, giving head to somebody on the couch. And his reaction was, hey, look, what about the girls? You can't expose them to this. Why don't you date somebody with at least enough money to rent a hotel who has their own damn apartment? And if you can't find that, ask me. I'll give you the money to do it. So this don't embarrass the girls.
Well, he had a son and daughter with her, but the Fiata brother.
Well, I'm saying that two daughters were involved in the reception or recital that evening. Yeah, as the jury remarked when some of them were interviewed afterwards, hey, he would have had to been in a position to say, daughter, don't go upstairs and smooth out your sister. And if she, hears mommy screaming, it's just daddy killing her. Because who's to say they would have not come back down from the reception if that was what the deal was? The other thing was that glove was found by Furman. It was under a foot of fallen leaves, way into OJ's backyard in the dark shadows. He supposedly found that. Furman supposedly found the bloody socks that you can see him planting. And he gets there less than 5 minutes after the killing, and he lives almost 25 miles away from where Nicole lives. And it turns out from the proof, he had been over there, Furman, at least 11 times, and had been trying to court Nicole and was trying to get a date with her. So
he had known Nicole for a while because he had responded to the scene, but he used to say his thing, he was a vehement racist. He said, the only thing I hate worse than a nigger is a nigger lover, which was the saying that they did. And Nicole was the biggest one because she had not only OJ, she messed with, and here's the thing too, she was messing with Marcus Allen. And OJ even had Marcus Allen hosted his wedding at his house after this happened. So he wasn't.
Well, yeah, but see, one of the main things is that Nicole was a junkie. She owed every big-time drug dealer in West Hollywood and in West Los Angeles a lot of money. She had a very loose lifestyle. And the witnesses who testified about the Sicilian connection were dating her two sisters.
Right.
And they were in a federal witness protection program, and their surmise was that Nicole got killed as a way of sending messages to her two sisters, and through the two sisters to their boyfriends, the witnesses in question who were in a federal witness protection program.
Yeah, this is him here, Anthony Fiato. And yes, Phantom Beat, he did say that, talk about planting evidence on criminals. In fact, that's what they tried to say Johnny Cochran played the race card. No, Johnny didn't play the race card. He played the credibility card on Mark Furman.
Well, let me tell you.
It was definitely Bailey who cross-examined Mark Furman.
Well, let me tell you what he did do. I've known Johnny Cochran since 1966. We talked. We had each other's phone numbers. What he said his strategy was is after getting to a neutral venue for OJ, where there would likely be black prospective jurors, he said one of his objectives was to get as many black folk over 45 years old or close to that as he could, because if they grew up in Los Angeles, they would know how lacking in credibility LAPD at the time happened to be. So they would buy into this readily that it was a frame job. And that's exactly what happened. And it was helped by Marcia Clark and Joe Darden giving one of the most inept and incompetent prosecutorial performances I've ever seen in 50 years. Mm-hmm. It was just disgustingly off-brand. They had the jury damn near spitting on the ground every time they stood up. Yeah. So it was brilliant defense work, and I think he probably would have been found not liable on the civil side if he had had an equal defense team to that he had for the criminal matter. I don't think that defense team was as good, frankly.
But he had an all-white jury, too, which I think factored in.
Yes, because they weren't smart enough to change the venue.
Yeah.
See, LA has 13 judicial districts, or at least they did have. And one of the things is the central districts, instead of just drawing from the surrounding area, they got changed so they drew from the entire county. Why? Because they said too many high-dollar civil matters involving contract law arise in these particular districts. So the typical black and Hispanic prospective juror, and this is really racist and insulting, was insufficiently educated to be able to comprehend what was going on. So for those districts, instead of having the jurors drawn from just those districts, they would be drawn from the entire county, which would pretty much dictate that you had heavily white juries, which Cochran was trying to avoid. Now, Cochran used to be with the DA's office back in the 60s and early 70s, so he knew his way around the courtroom. And I guess what was going on when I saw Clark and Darden, actually, I was an adjunct professor at the time, and I wound up using clips of what they did as an exemplar of how not to do it. Right. Objection, Your Honor. Overruled, Mr. Darden. Objection. Will you sit down, Mr. Darden? Object. With Mr. Darden, not one more time. And the jury is just like, oh, God, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And he actually threw up after the verdict.
Oh, we lost. Oh, my God. One of mine got away with killing one of theirs. No, you just had the wrong case, fool. And it didn't even dawn on your dull ass self what was going on. And Marcia Clark was just the height of ridiculousness. That was so piss poor embarrassing. I talked to some of the LA County Superior Court judges who dropped in during the course of the trial. They said it was an disgustingly inept performance by the prosecution. They just weren't ready for it, and their surmise was they'd been used to so many lawyers who were not trial savvy taking a dive or getting run over a steamroller that they assumed they could do it. And it just happened that a number of the judges in LA County Superior Court I had been personally acquainted with, or had, in some instances, actually recruited to law school years before. So I had some people to talk to.
Yeah. Well, definitely something you can put in your law school on how not to prosecute a case and what to do when you are a criminal defense attorney, because F. Lee Bailey and Johnny Cochran, they really turned that case around. Shapiro is a snake, because Shapiro is now going on against OJ.
Shapiro is an arrogant, egotistical narcissist. Right. And allegedly, I don't know him personally, but yeah, too bad you wouldn't get a chance to shine on this one.
Well, he was the one that told Darden. He was the one that told Darden make, I think, or it was Bailey, I think, that said you should try on the glove. Make him try on the gloves. As we gonna try it, and he tried it on in front of the jury, and it was clearly tight. They tried to come up with some BS saying, "Well, he took some medicine that made it swell up." No, that didn't happen.
Oh no! What happened is I talked to the guy who owned the company that made the glove. They took a hand tracing. OJ had a 2XL, and that glove was a size large. It wasn't an XL. It wasn't a 2XL. It was a large.
Yeah. I want to move on to the next topic, but someone had asked me, Donald asked, did I watch what the commentators were saying going in on Watson? I have not. It's not a surprise to me that they would go in on him. That's what they do to all of their boys in the NFL, because that's what they think of black players in the NFL. And, you know, a lot of those players, I'll be real.
Who cares what them suckers say?
No, who cares what they say? They're out of shape retired players, or they never played the game at all and got a job because they knew somebody and they do commentary. Just like I don't
care. Trying to appeal to a certain select audience.
Yes. Just like I don't like, I mean, ESPN, I think their ratings, especially on First Take, have gone down in recent times, especially because they have a lot of agenda-driven stuff. And I don't watch Stephen A. Smith. I know he always gonna say something stupid. You know, Kwame Brown. I know you interviewed Kwame Brown, Judge. He doesn't like Stephen A.
I know who does.
Stephen A. Smith or Molly Curran. I don't care for her either. I mean, I'll watch Undisputed from time to time, but I don't know what Shannon Sharp. What did Shannon Sharp have to say? Because if anybody knows, because he usually will go in on stuff, but he might be taking their side. Who knows?
You know what? To give you an exemplar, Dana and I do this thing on Formula One racing. We are fans of Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Right.
Okay. Who is the only black man raced in this, and he's the GOAT. He holds every single record possible to hold, except one. He's tied with the absolute numbers of world championships, and he got cheated by what the sport admits was human error out of being an unprecedented 8-time world champion. Okay. Mm-hmm. We watch it. Now, when you get the announcers, there is a hot race going for first, second, third, and fourth. Are they letting you hear that, look at that, analyze that? No, they're talking about there's a real battle going on between so-and-so and so-and-so for place 14. Who goddamn gives a damn? You know, there are no points. Nothing's a pickup. There are only 20 cars in the damn race, and 3 of them have dropped out, and you're talking about a hot race for position 14 and 15. Like, where did you come in with this? And it's the same thing when you get to this sport. Somebody is blathering on about, excuse me, what the hell does that have to do with a damn thing anyway?
Yeah.
And where did they get quality? Have they ever played football? Or, excuse me, they ain't that fine to be that kind of eye candy, so you disregard all of the blathering. It is a sports event. And I think a lot of the sports events trying to appeal to women, I guess to incite some little Lollipop's interest and always wanted to be a coach for an NFL team. Well, you're 5 feet 2 inches tall, 115 pounds, and you're a girl. So, I mean, don't you think you ought to go deal with a girl sport instead of trying to be a commentator or a coach for an NFL team? I mean, how the hell are you supposed to coach something that you've never played? I don't get it.
Now that's Molly Karam. She used to be Jalen Rose's wife. She's not a bad little woman. She's fine, but she'll say some stupid stuff from time to time. So no people, if you read the comments on First Takes YouTube, they always say negative stuff about her. And then you got Stephen A. Smith with the Jason Voorhees haircut over there.
Well, there's some good-looking women for the most part.
Half the McDonald Arches hairline on Stephen A.
Well, I had my last ex-wife kind of looks at least as good, better than these, but
she's not a bad-looking woman.
No, she's not. But you know, there's a point where beauty queen has absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand. They make nice eye candy, but come on, how about a little bit more savoir-faire?
Have you seen Joy Taylor, Jason Taylor's sister? Oh my gosh.
Let's see. Well, if you're into that kind of look, it's not bad at all.
No, indeed.
Not bad at all.
Now she's a commentator. She's a commentator on Fox with who's your boy? You know who I'm talking about, Bernard. Who's the one that comes on and does that music? Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, she used to be on First Take. That's her. Yeah, she's cute.
And I'm not, if sisters listen,
like
I'm not trying to get off into white women here. It's just beauty is beauty. I mean, it's like all forms, white, brown, black, red, yellow. You know, it is what it is.
She's black, Judge.
Well, okay.
Her father, I think, a mixed race, but I know Jason.
She is what she is. I mean, it doesn't keep her from being fine. What the hell? You know, the one drop rule. You got one drop in you, that makes you, wow, we whoop-de-doo.
Donald says Colin Cowherd he's a jackbutt. I never heard that one before. But
a what?
A jackbutt. He trying to say a jackass? Okay.
Well, since Joe Biden took that one, monopolized the jackass in chief, you know, I guess maybe you got to come up with jackbutt, but it is what it is.
Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Yeah, I knew Colin Cowherd I thought he's an asshole. I'll say that because I saw him. He made some commentary. I know you don't follow sports, Judge, but he said something stupid about the New Orleans Saints wide receivers versus the Arizona Cardinals and how they were going to beat the Saints because the school that the Saints receivers came from were no-name schools or something like that. That's really how you base. That's how you base talent. Jerry Rice, Walter Payton all went to HBCU schools too.
Well, how about this? Tank Younger and Deacon Dan Towler, hired in 1949 by the LA Rams as respectively fullback and running back. Yeah. And Tank Younger also was a defensive tackle. He went both ways. He was a fullback. He was 6'4" and weighed 270 pounds, according to Deacon Dan Towler, not Deacon Jones, who's 20-some years in the future from this point. Deacon Dan Towler played defensive end. He was 6'7" and weighed 250 pounds. Did you see that as a running back, for God's sake?
No.
6'5", and 250 pounds. Right. So they came out of Grambling. Those were the first two in the NFL out of Grambling. So I guess it didn't count that they came from what was then a no-name school.
Well, Grambling had actually the most Hall of Fame. Actually, the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame, Grambling has the most alumni. You know, Buck Buchanan.
Yeah, I mean, but those were the first two, and I just happened to have met Deacon Dan Tyler, who became a preacher, but he was also a tenured professor at the state university known as Cal State in L.A. And I know him because I used to date his fine ass secretary. Anyway,
Yeah.
Lord, she was fine. Wait.
Yeah. Let's talk about this next topic. This is our last topic. House of Representatives passed H.R. 1808, latest gun control measure. Now, what is it, Bernard?
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was looking at something to bring up, right? And after you finish, I'm gonna send you 3 articles, and you can tie it all in together because it all fits into what you about to talk about. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. So, it's a couple of days ago, the United States House of Representatives, on a Friday, I believe on July 26th, so nobody had even followed this, but they passed what's called an assault weapons ban of 2022. The bill makes it a crime to knowingly import, sell, manufacture, transfer, or possess a semi-automatic assault weapon or large capacity ammunition feeding device. The prohibition does not apply to a firearm that is manually operated by bolt, pump, lever, or side action, except for certain shotguns, permanently inoperable, an antique, only capable of firing rimfire ammunition, or a rifle or shotgun specifically identified by make and model. Now,
well, see what happens is that means for every damn gun you have in your case, and that includes semi-automatic pistols, you have to make an application and go through a background check on the federal level and wait 6 months to a year and a half for clearance and pay a $200 transfer tax if it's under NFA. So that is absolutely ridiculous. And you notice the difference between this piece of garbage and the 1994 Act is that one did not make unlawful the possession of the weapon. It made it unlawful to transfer or import one with those specifications that were prohibited now, or certain designated models. Now, the fact of the matter is AR does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite.
right.
And the one they are so offended by, the AR-15/M16/M4 and all sorts of appearance clones, was patented in February 1952. That's 70 years ago, so it ain't nothing new. And semi-autos have been in the hunting fields for 120 some years almost. So they want to make everybody confined to antique weapons, and the only thing they seem to approve of is 6-shot revolvers, not even the 8-shot editions. So they want you to go back 120 years for the technology and deal with a bolt action rifle, which they specifically exempt. The United States government adopted one in 1892, and the German army adopted the first one in 1841. So that's absolutely ridiculous. They want you to be limited to 180 some year old designs and 125-year-old designs in terms of what you can use. That is preposterous.
Yes, it is. But I want people to read the top of this. It says here, H.R. 1808 in the 117th Congress, second session, to regulate assault weapons to ensure the right to keep and bear arms is not
unlimited. Yeah, well, guess what? There is one thing. You remember what Marbury versus Madison is about, where the Supreme Court established its paramountcy to declare acts of Congress unconstitutional?
Yes.
Congress passed something that allowed that situation to be set up, and they said that it was unconstitutional. I think the current Supreme Court would declare this garbage unconstitutional.
Yeah,
so
it infringes on the Second Amendment. And it's
where in the hell does a right, the second one listed in the Bill of Rights, become subject to limitation?
It says it shall not be infringed.
That's right, shall not be infringed. And one of the things I'm thinking of doing if I become mayor of Memphis when I run next year is evoking some provisions of the Tennessee law that allow the mayor to set up a city-sponsored militia. And this would be a community militia. So that would be a clear exercise of the Second Amendment. Now, I don't think this is going to stand muster, and thank goodness for the GOP-controlled U.S. Senate, who will not let this conspicuous garbage go through. See, one of the reasons for the Second Amendment is to keep these fascist little fools, this time from the left instead of from the right, from imposing their will on the people and instituting a tyranny. Instead of having jack-booted, goose-stepping political thugs imposing fascism, you've got little pink panty-wearing, switching and twitching, confused gender-wise freaks or confused sexual role or gender role stuff types who want to impose their tyranny on the American public. Now, don't get me wrong. If somebody wants to be gay, that's their own damn business. Get their freak on in their bedrooms. But, you know, they're trying to impose LGBTQ, the cult, as an official religion. And when I say that, I would say it in this context. If you're a Jew, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you go to synagogue, church, or mosque. If you are a Hindu, you go to a temple. Buddhist, Zen practitioner, you go to a temple. But the last several do not have a God in their religion because it's a system of philosophy. What we have with LGBTQ is a cult with a system of philosophy. And just because somebody's gay does not mean they support LGBTQ, the cult, any more than being Christian. You supported Reverend Jim Jones and drinking Kool-Aid at a large church picnic. Nor, if you're Islamic, does that mean you support Al-Qaeda or ISIS. So, I mean, we've got a thing where you cannot have anybody saying Christian, Jewish, or Muslim prayers in a school sanctioned by the school, but the school can force the students to study being gay or being tranny or whatever the confusion may be.
Let me bring up something here.
Before you bring up Bernard, I just want to point this out. I need to mention this. This is, I believe, this is an amendment to. It's a bill, but it amends the United States Code, Title 18, Section 921A. Is that what it's amended by adding at the end of the following? And it's important to note another thing. It was passed 217 to 213. Now, everybody ought to go. I don't have the list of the votes up because I put it on the actual bill here. But everybody ought to check out the who voted for this. And they need to vote them out of office. Vote to punish as judge.
We got 217 Democrats.
Yeah. There were 3 Republicans that joined in. Is that right? Yeah. So it would have been, instead of 217 to 213, it would have been the other way around. You need to turn their asses out.
We had primaries tonight.
In those states, ours isn't until Thursday.
I don't even know what my primary. I don't think we have it yet, but I know they got Gary Chambers running for senator.
The term semi-automatic assault weapon means any of the following, regardless of country of manufacture or caliber of ammunition accepted. See, first off, an assault rifle is, by military and international definition, a fully automatic weapon. In other words, it's a machine gun, first and foremost, that has the option of firing semi-auto. Hell, the old-time Tommy gun or Thompson submachine gun had the same option. In other words, hold the trigger down and you keep firing until you let up off the trigger. Semi-auto means you have to pull once every time you pull the trigger. And by the way, in the entirety of the history of the United States of America, every single military/infantry rifle that has been made available to U.S. troops has been offered on the commercial market. Though thanks to the Well, 1934 act that they had, you had this new category known as machine guns that require a federal registration, background check, and payment of a $200 transfer tax, for which you get a stamp like you would if you paid the tax on sale
So,
to sell whiskey. So it's
so this
interesting.
would make so this just reading this, when you say semi-automatic, and everybody knows this is one squeeze. A semi-automatic pistol means when you pull the trigger, only one round comes out of the chamber. Everybody in the United States who is a gun owner, I'd say 95% or better, owns a semi-automatic weapon because that's what's sold at the sporting goods stores. That's what's sold online if you purchase. Now, assault weapons, as you call them, and I think that's a misnomer because even a semi-automatic weapon could be considered an assault weapon. So could a knife. It's used to assault someone, but we use that. Uh, you know, when you're talking about a automatic weapon, those are illegal and hard to come by. If you can get it, it's hell of expensive to get because after I think when Reagan signed the act in 1984, they banned it.
After anything after that, what happens is
Right.
it can be resold if it was in retail uh, status prior to the bill. Anything manufactured after that cannot be transferred. So the stuff they have now is all from that period. So it's 40 years old, newest. And what happens is the price has been escalating. It's a good investment, but they want to confiscate all effective modern weaponry, which means anything from about 1901 or 2 all the way up to the present would be subject to confiscation. See, they're talking about possession of
Right.
9mm pistols, 45 autos, 32 autos, 380s, you name it, would be illegal. The only thing you could possess legally would be a 6-shot revolver.
Right.
And the
They
ones
got
they
my
make
guns
now,
up there.
that's from 1892. 1886 is when they came up with that. Smith did. So, in other words, 160, 140 some year old weapon is about the newest you'd be permitted to have. Now that's ridiculous. I mean, see, these punk asses are too piss poor, cowardly, and unmanly to go out and go learn how to shoot, go out on a range. And they're sissified idiots who want somebody to protect them. They run around quaking in their little dainty boots and pink little underwear, and they think taking time to make a law to make something more illegal that's already illegal, like killing or murder or such like, or aggravated assaults or assaults with a deadly weapon, somehow or another adding another little something on top of a thing that somebody is likely to get a death penalty or life without possibility of parole for right now is going to make a difference. Plus, the other thing is when you outlaw something, you automatically create a black market for it. And when you have contraband like that, you have bootlegging, and that's just another prohibition. So the prohibition on alcohol didn't work. The prohibition on drugs does not work. And they still have this ongoing war on drugs, and all of the really hot stuff that they really don't want in the country comes in, along with these shipments of cocaine and opiates that they can't stop. And right now, one of the main problems is that they have these things that can do 3D printing, where if you can get a hold of the computers, if you have enough money to get one, you can build any damn thing you want. CNC machining. You can take a hunk of aluminum and a hunk of steel, program the doggone setup, and make any damn weapon parts or weapons you want, and even improve on a lot of stuff that's already out there. So unless you crack down and totally negate the First Amendment, where you can't communicate instructions or put stuff in writing, there's no way of stopping this. There are shipments stolen when these 18-wheelers get hijacked in interstate commerce. carrying a shipment of new weapons for somebody's Southern Sheriff's Department or Highway Patrol or National Guard or Reserve Armory. I mean, where are you going to stop this? See, the other thing is I've taken martial arts for 55 damn years. I can kill most humans inside of 15 to 20 seconds, and I don't need a damn weapon. So what are you going to do about me? Or register my ass? Hell, well, no way. Even though I am 75, I can still kick some ass. So it's a matter of character that I don't kill you, not that I have been de-weaponized. So, I mean, they're missing the point. And one of the big things is these son of a bitches have created this mess by their failed policy. They have emasculated the damn country, and they act like they're surprised at the result of removing masculinity as a control. You have said you can't shame, you can't embarrass anybody, so the shame of doing something wrong has become obviated. So what the hell? There's no shame for doing wrong. What the devil do they think they're going to do to get people to behave? Put on an authoritarian government over them, to clamp down on them in a fascist way? And then you get this thing. It's beginning to look like Orwell's Animal Farm. So a lot of these folks are beginning to look like the denizens of the pig pen in Orwell's Animal Farm. And that's exactly what it is. And we need to resist this, because anytime you want to be a free people, it's a dangerous thing, and there's collateral damage to it being that way. It's like, okay, we want transportation. We want fast transportation. Why, if we're interested in people getting unnecessarily killed, don't we either outlaw private transportation, use of automobiles? Ain't no way that's going to happen. Why don't we start having people more vigorously trained and tested for license purposes before they can operate a 2.5-ton vehicle with enormous potential energies at play that can really smash somebody up and kill 7, 8, 10 times as many people as get taken out by some kind of specified weapon? See, this is nothing but rank hypocrisy, because they're not going to give up the collateral damage by giving up the primary implementation thereof. In other words, people are not going to be dependent on public transportation most places around this country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey.
Right, and this is not going to stop. The main thing with me, it's not going to stop crime. We have gun control bills. If you go in cities like New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., they have some of the toughest gun laws, but they have the highest crime and murder rates. So it's not going to change that, and the criminals are not going to listen to this. It's law-abiding citizens who will actually listen to this, those that are sheep who will follow the shepherd, but this shepherd is not going to lead you into the pasture. He's going to lead you over the cliff. King Bernard, you have a comment?
Well, yeah, like those 363 articles in Messenger, but like it's very, it's like with this gun thing, they go on an overdrive with it. But that's why I sent you an article about the facial recognition and all that stuff. You see, down here in Richmond, down here in Richmond, the 177 people, and I know all these areas. As a matter of fact, I go be all over. So, like that's like a housing thing, but they say most people tied to government housing stuff. Another one was the guy in McDonald's that got shot and drafted. Well, if that's going to happen, you need something to protect yourself. They're saying, hey, I'm going to let you get killed, but don't protect yourself. You just go ahead and take it. The average citizen ain't going for that. But my thing is, to me, it was like a smoke and mirrors thing, because this bill that they passed in the House just happened last week. And they didn't really get a lot of press, but yesterday at 7:30, they had Biden come in and address the nation on a leader they supposedly killed out there in Afghanistan that was second in command to bin Laden. So if you really think about it, once again, smoke and mirrors, they tell you about this that happened, which you killed a guy with a drone strike. You got Pelosi over in Taiwan, but the people right here don't even know that this ain't nothing but no form of a crime bill, because in 94, they passed an assault weapons ban. Same script again. People got police.
Well, you know what's good? You know what's good? 1994, it caused the Democrats to have a disastrous midterm result. And even though they have not passed it through the Senate, which I don't think they're going to do, same effect. I hope it intensifies this disaster that the Democratic Party is going to suffer in these midterms, so that they can lose control of the House and can cement the Republicans in control of the Senate, so we can stop all of this foolish nonsense. I mean, I'm not pro-Republican, but I'm certainly anti-Democratic Party, and I'm an independent.
Yeah, they're going overboard with it, but they like even this thing now. They like I just want to, and Judge brought this up before with Wikipedia. Like it's like you want to fact check everything, and you want to do this. Last week they said you're in a recession. Then they come back and say, "Oh no, we're not in a recession." They go to change the definition on Wikipedia, "Oh, it's a decline in economic activity," and then they locked it out, so you can't go back into it. And that's what Judge talked about. You can go edit Wikipedia if you got the right credentials or something. You can do it. So they
look. You don't need the right credentials. You go to Wikipedia, see that little cartoon pencil over on the side.
Yeah.
You click that and you put in your email address so they'll know where it came from. You can make any changes in it you want. That doesn't even, it's instant. The changes become instant. So I have to go on my site to correct stuff that people put in there through malice on a regular basis. You can do anything you want without anybody regulating what you do. You just add it and it stays there. That little pencil. You
can add Wikipedia, yeah, you can add anything.
You can make it so you can add, you can erase, and you can alter.
Well, just want to say it go to show you, whenever the narrative is convenient for them, they change the narrative. If it's convenient for you, then they villainize it. This thing with guns. Everybody on this panel talking, me, you, Gavin, has one. Probably 2 or 3, maybe more, right?
Whole lot more.
Nobody. So what's the problem? Like in this article I just sent y'all, they just came out and said that these people had illegal guns and they was this thing. So I mean, you got 177 people. So I mean, like most of them illegal guns anyway. What's the deal? These are not legalized gun owners doing this. These are people who, you know, obviously getting access. But like I said, all you're doing is you can create a black market. So if you want to keep on trying to pass bills, go ahead and create a black market. Knock yourself out.
Oh, and wait a minute. See, you're way too young. This was way before you were born. They had this thing about Saturday night specials. The cheap, easily concealed 5-shot revolvers. They're talking about Smith, detective specials, J-Frame Smith stuff, and cheaper editions thereof. That was the hot thing. People who have weapons that can be easily concealed are the evil demons. And they went through this thing of banning the importation of even expensive pocket pistols. Now nobody gives a damn, and they have more efficient pocket pistols than they've ever had. But now they're worried about what nobody thought about: assault rifles or semi-automatic modern design rifles. And remember, the design on the one they're talking about is 70 damn years ago. In other words, it was only new for your great-grandfather. And then it wasn't even new for him because it was new for his grandfather back in the early 1900s when they started putting them out for the hunting crowd. So, I mean, wow.
I had a question, Judge. Do you think, let me stop you, do you think that this bill will actually pass in the Senate?
No, it's not. That's not getting past the Senate. First, tabled, it won't even come up.
But isn't the Senate split now? It's 50-50 with 2 independents going to the Democrat?
Yeah, but it's not going to come up. And they won't be able to overcome a filibuster. So it's not going anywhere. The chances of passing the Senate are next to 0.
Well, Judge, if they knew that what I carry, I'm surprised they don't say it's illegal, because I carry a 6-inch double barrel shotgun, and it's legal, and it was delivered to my house. But it's a front loader, but it shoots.
Talking about a muzzle weapon, yeah.
It's a Diablo, and it shoots a 1-ounce slug out of each barrel.
Yeah, I mean, a whole lot of people got killed with muzzle loading weapons. Look at 1861 to 1865.
Yeah. But
Springfield, 1860, 1863s, and Lee Enfield, or not Lee Enfield, but Enfield 1853 models. A whole lot of people got done in by muzzle loading stuff.
Yeah, from what I understand, Abraham Lincoln got done in by one.
Yeah, a Derringer.
Yeah,
it was a Derringer to the back of the head.
Yeah, well,
with one R.
And this weapon is dangerous. You can buy, all of them are dangerous, but you can buy this online, and you don't have to fill out a form. It'll be delivered to your house.
Or if you want to, spend yourself $15K, $10K, $5K, and you can get a 3D printer and you can make one. Or you can spend twice that and you can get yourself a CNC milling machine, or you can rent them for a few months and build all you want. Just put the plans in, put the raw material in, chunks of steel, come back in a few hours, and there's everything you need. So while we whoopee.
I didn't hear what your feelings are on this, but as far as I'm concerned, a gun will sit on a tabletop forever. It takes a person to discharge it.
Oh yeah.
People are responsible for deaths. Guns are not. Because if I wanted to kill somebody, it didn't matter. I'd take a bathroom plunger and kill them.
Well, yeah, you can. In fact, that's a very efficient killing device. But let me show you, to extrapolate this to the heights of ridiculousness, the current Lord Mayor of London wants all kitchen knives to be serial numbered and registered in order to cut back on criminal assaults and homicides.
He's crazy.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, sir. It is.
Like, you come up with this cockamamie bullshit set of policies dealing with corruption and emasculation of the general public, and you expect there not to be any consequences, so you want a scapegoat. And then the police don't have an obligation to protect you. So their job is to solve and cut down on criminal activity so they can draw a white outline around your dead ass, but that's about the extent of it.
So where do you draw the line?
To be on the spot, and we don't want, like it was back in some other places at one time, where there is many damn uniformed police as there are ordinary civilian attired citizens, and then half of them work for the government and trying to keep you under surveillance. Not too cool. They call that the National Socialist Workers Party, that has an interesting acronym we're all familiar with. That acronym, Nazi.
Yeah. Where do you draw the line and say people are responsible for their own actions, not people who make guns or paintbrushes?
Well, nowadays, nobody's responsible for their own actions. That's the catch. You know, it's never your fault. It's always somebody else's fault that made you do it, influenced you, did it. Or you should be able to do it if it makes you feel better. Or telling you not to do it may be shaming somebody or hurting somebody's feelings.
Yeah. And I'm just so fed up with all of this bull that we get coming out on gun control. We got to make harsher punishment. It's not going to make a difference. People have to change their mindset, the way they think, the way children are raised.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
You know what? And you're absolutely right, Mr. Rashad, but it's one big acronym in here. I'm talking to somebody the other day. What game you playing? Grand Theft Auto 5, right? What your child watching? What's this, right? So the culture is so privy. Even Judge, he talked about Lizzo, which that's even funny, right? But he brought that up. But Gavin sent me something last night, and I'm not gonna ask him to share it. He don't want to share it. But I'm sitting there looking at this pool party out there in, what is it, Texas?
Was it Houston? About the swim thing,
Houston, right? And I'm saying, okay, fine. If you want to have a pool party, that's fine. But why you got to call it the Thick Fest or whatever it is? I'm like, scratch my head. Yeah. But I'm just saying that we don't have to glorify this. Like, you glorify overeating. You glorify calling yourself a bitch and a nigga. You glorify saying never hesitate to put a nigga on his back. You glorify this. You glorify that. So the mindset is kind of bowing down to the subculture. I mean, it's just like you say manhood, but they're gonna say toxic manhood. So
that's what we're talking about.
It's a culture war.
The swim thick for 2022 outing.
Oh Lord, it looks like a traffic jam in the Congo River.
Yeah, but
damn, where are the crocodiles?
They ate them.
but yeah, I mean,
they should have had that at SeaWorld, man.
But we don't have to. What I'm saying, we don't have to glorify it.
I'm surprised that water was the pool was that big because it could have absorbed all of them stuff in there, man.
There's some grease in that.
But glorifying, we don't have to glorify the dysfunction all the time. You know?
You get all that big heavy women. I mean, you know, I'm sure some of them have nice personalities, but
they need it.
I'm not gonna say them. Y'all remember this in The Simpsons? I don't want to. I'm gonna get in trouble if I share with this. When I see
Let me see.
I think it is. Well, it landed on the kid.
You know what? I read something today, Gavin. A humpback whale did swallow 2 people today. I think I read that earlier today. I forgot where it was at though. Oh well.
Look, I've been in the water 5 feet away from one of those out in the Pacific Ocean.
An orca?
A shamu. It was a big bull orca that we had seen 3 weeks before kill 3 dolphins, and
they will eat a great white. They don't like sharks.
Wound up feasting off them. What's that?
I said orcas will eat a great white.
He and I swam back toward the boat for a good long way, and he didn't bother me, but he was curious. It's like, oh, that's some interesting wildlife that jumped in the ocean. It's like, all right. I had momentary flashes of being whale shit on the bottom of the ocean, but you know, I got back to the boat. Okay.
Those.
It
animals,
was interesting.
They are animals.
Yeah. That's like what happened in SeaWorld where they dragged the trainer down.
They don't.
Yeah, but it was the same young adolescent bull orca that killed 2 of the trainers, the same one. And he was suffering from some puberty problems and some other stuff that made him a crazy young guy. Now, let me say this. This was not an animal. This thing was looking at me and behaved with more sense than I've run into some of our own brothers and sisters in a restaurant. It was cool. He's like, yeah, man, what's happening? You know, like, yeah, he nodded at me. This thing actually nodded at me. Like, I'm looking, hey, man, you know, he goes, yeah. You know, I saw you See, I recognized him, and this thing was acting like it recognized me from this previous incident, because after it did in these 3 dolphins, it caught up with the dive boat we were on, which was a big one. It was a 62-footer that had been used to resupply some of the oil rigs out there in the channel. So when it came up, it rose up, laid over the starboard gunwale, and we listed sharply to the right, and it looked around at everybody. It's got distinctive markings, and then it just flopped right on off and went on. Yeah. So it looked at me. I looked at him on the boat, and it was looking at me in the water. I think I recognized that one. I said, okay, yeah.
No.
That was not an ordinary animal. What is that, a hippo? Is that Lizzo?
Stop. It's her left side.
Or is that swimming pool? I think that's that pool.
Well, there's a hippo right there.
That's a hippo.
Speaking of which, the Columbus, Ohio City Zoo was rescuing sea cows, aka manatee, and they named one after Lizzo.
Yeah, they did.
What an honor.
Before we get off.
I mean, I'm sure she's got a nice personality, nice voice and all that, but she really ought to stop slutting out and put some clothes on, really.
She ought to stop eating. I mean, there's just so much food that the human body can consume.
No, that's not even that. I'm more disgusted when she came out with that thong at the Lakers game. If she had farted, that thing would have been like a wind sail. Just
yeah, she had on that black
that whole front row. Shit.
Hey, he came out and said there was body shaming one day on one of them networks. By the way,
shame is good. You low down scoundrel, you scallywag, you low down MF, B. You don't need to act like that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I'm not ashamed. I'm merely flashing my flag. Damn, baby. They have this secret government program. That show I had, we were collaborating with it. It was about the Food People program. See, when they had a Roswell incident back in 1947 and they analyzed the cockpit contents, they discovered that the aliens had the intention of coming back and looking at humans as a food source. So when they arrive, it won't be long their time, since they're doing FTL, and they get back, we can say, hey, look, we know you understand our language, so get this message. Don't eat up everybody. We've been breeding some food people. They're fat, succulent, and juicy. Now, that thing over there that we call a penitentiary, you can call a stockyard. And if you want, we can show you this little room in the back with a wooden chair so you can strap one in, flip this switch, and get a hot snack. And those things over there, you can call them meals on wheels, but we call them trailer parks. And over there, we've got a bunch of these plush, juicy ones that are nice and tender. You can smoke them or salt cure them or barbecue them. And we've even got sauce for you. You can have a good time. Just don't eat everybody. Just eat them, the food people. So we owe them a debt of gratitude, before the moment even it's here. They're preparing themselves to be sacrifices in the interest of the human race. So the aliens eat them instead of the rest of us.
Judge, funny you should bring that up, but in the 1960s or 50s, the Twilight Zone had an episode that it was aliens that came down to Earth to visit, and they had one professor who was deciphering their language, and he deciphered their book, and they said, "Don't go." Yeah, the book is How to Serve Man. But it's a cookbook, and they mentioned that it was a cookbook. So
I saw that one.
Yeah, but don't entertain them.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he wouldn't let him. But I just said that I thought it was interesting. You should bring that up. How history, you can learn so much from history, and that people should pay attention of our history and where we've been to foretell where we're going or predict to some degree of certainty how things are going to turn out. Just like the novel 1984. You know, when you look, I look at what I read back in 1966 and see and compare to what is 1984 now. It's repeating the exact thing. And this woman ought to be a damn shame of herself to wear something like that and not be ashamed, not be.
You know what? You're right. You know what? I did a study, Mr. Rashad, and I checked on obesity or whatever, since I do personal training and nutrition. And I'm not, I know Judge is 75. I'm not sure how old you are, but that's irrelevant right now, really. But if you go back and look at it, in the 60s and 70s, you had people that were more fit. Especially in their 20s and 30s. I mean, if I ever look at it and I go walking, running, basketball, you know, I might throw football with children, whatever. But if you look at it, you have people that are twice my age. One of them actually 77, 80 out there walking in the morning. And you'll be surprised to find out some of these people can still walk 8 to 9 miles a day, while you got somebody who's 30 who doesn't even want to get out of bed to go walking past the corner store. Right? It's like crazy, right? You know, children playing video games. I mean, I know even children that are 150 pounds. I'm 150 pounds at 35 years old. A child shouldn't be 150 pounds at 10, right? So what I'm saying is, it just seems like a lot of older people are slimmer in their weight than people younger these days. And that is a big problem because more people who are old, elderly, usually, I mean, they might, if you're retired, might not be moving around as much, where you're younger and supposed to be moving around all the time. So it's actually kind of an embarrassment to me. But it is what
you know, I go places now, and in 3 or 4 minutes, I see more morbidly obese people, particularly women. And in 3 or 4 minutes, and I recall seeing in 5 years 20 or 30. I mean, it's like, and then all of them, like you just pointed out, they were all over 55, going on 60 years old. And they'd had a lot of downtime to fill up. But I mean, I see 15-year-olds now from the back look like they won't make it to 55.
No, like Jaws.
I guess for you, good to marry one and take out a heavy life insurance policy on her, where if you can get her past the physical, and then count on having a well-financed vacation, finding something else before she hit 45.
Well, that's why
she dropped a heart attack or broke.
Well, that's important. Why is to exercise and eat healthier. You know, I try to walk more.
They don't.
More. Yeah.
They don't PE. They still have mandatory PE in high school, junior high, and such like now. I don't think they do they?
Yeah.
I remember when that was like 18 years ago, but I remember they had that as like, I think in 12th grade or 11th, it was an elective actually, so you didn't even have to take it. I think in one school I went to. So, but look, but see, Darius Rolando put a good thing in the chat. 80% of black women are either overweight or obese. He meant to say that's a damn shame, but I have looked at it, and well, it could be even more. I know years ago it was 6, 7. So what I did was I looked at it from here, and then I looked at countries like Jamaica, Africa, so forth and the like, right? And you'll find out their obesity rates are way less. So it goes to show you. Now, some people say it comes from third world countries, but they're not into overeating. You know, all these fast food commercials. I'm like, you know, why are you spending $20 on McDonald's daily or Popeyes or Chick-fil-A, whatever?
Because it's easier to eat. It's also cheaper than even some health food. I'm telling you from, I guess, obviously from experience, because I'm the first one, it's just easier if you're out traveling and on the road and you get hungry. Some people don't have, some people don't bother to cook or don't have time for it, and it's just convenient for time's sake to go there. That's why they call it fast food. But you know, you got to prepare, learn how to do. And I need to learn to do it too, like meal preparation. You know, if I'm going to be at work, I bring a sandwich or bring a salad or something like that, or some soup, something along those lines. But
well, you might find an object or something. I'm just using it like in a context.
Yeah.
Like now, I will say this: that I understand what you're saying, but meal prepping is good. But I'm just saying that we got to get to a point where we got to say, hold on, man. Like he was talking about Lizzo, but I could tell you, I saw a woman tonight out at National Night that was probably 2 times bigger than Lizzo, just to be honest. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes it's a glandular problem. Sometimes it's some medical problems.
Yeah, they ate the glands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But a lot of times just plain gluttony and sloth and not.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And they're saying now about quit trying to look good for the guys. Well, what the hell do you think's going on in the animal kingdom and has been developing for the last 3.5 billion years or so? Sexual attraction between the genders. The boys and the girls try to look good for each other. So
yes, fasting is good.
Metabolic disorders, that's true too, that affect digestive system.
But I mean, like I said, when I was in my teens and 20s, I think I might have gone 3 or 4 years and not seen as many women with those, shall we be charitable, glandular problems as I see in 2 or 3 minutes and walking into a typical establishment these days. Now, I mean, you can be heavy set or plush. That's one thing. But these...
Overweight.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I was out for lunch with a lady friend, and I'm sitting at a table with her, and actually there was another woman at the table too. And 2 tables over, there were these 4 big women, and they were just throwing down. And one of them that I could see in front of me, I could see her backside, and she was overlapping her chair, and she would slosh from one side, slump, to the other, slump. I said, oh man, I hope she doesn't overslosh, but she did. And she toppled right out of the chair. Boom, she hit the ground. Now I'm trying to keep from choking because what I'm looking at is she's going, help, help. Literally, I can't get up. And her friends just kept forking away. You know, they weren't missing a stroke. They did not move to help their friends. This white waiter runs over there, and she's so heavy, he can't budge her. So 2 white guys jumped up from different tables, and the 3 of them were sitting there like they're doing some heavy lifting. And they managed to pull her over so she could help herself get up, and then they helped her up. She sat down in the chair, and her friends ain't missed a stroke. They're still going with those forks.
We had a bass singer in the choir. Guy was huge. One of the heaviest women in the choir fell or caught the spirit and shouted and fell. He picked her up. And next thing he sang was a soprano note. I don't pick him up. Nope. Nope.
I gotta change.
I'll roll him over, push him down the aisle.
I gotta change. Before we get off, I wanted to share this, and it's a serious thing. We laughing and stuff, but I want to point out this Crypt Creeper looking bitch. They found. This was brought to my attention. They found Carolyn Dunham, Bryant, the woman that lied on Emmett Till. And she's been living in a small apartment community out in Kentucky. That's her. And she's in hospice care. Judge, I've seen you on your show with Dana, and I've seen you on with Brother Ron. That warrant that was never served on the kidnapping charge. where she was charged and warranted on the suspicion of kidnapping Emmett, she can still be prosecuted. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay. So the Attorney General of Mississippi, her name is Miss Lynn Fitch. She has already stated that there's no intentions of prosecuting Carolyn Bryant Dunham.
But let me point something out that's interesting. The state attorney general doesn't have control over that in Mississippi. It's the district attorney general.
Right.
In other words, for the district, who's black. And he says he doesn't want to, but he could at least submit the matter to the grand jury and let them make the determination. I mean, after all, they went after Dr. Cosby, who is that age, and Medgar Evers' killer, what's his name? I forget.
Arundella Beckwith.
Beckwith. They went after Beckwith when he was a senior citizen and he died in prison. So go after him. I mean, I think it would be a good exemplar that would serve as a deterrent factor, because we're about to get there now. This current administration and its henchmen and hench women, and I guess for those that are tranny, hench things, you know, the pronoun people, they've set up such a situation that they're generating a lot of these. And I look at them being primarily at fault for taking away the control factors and legitimizing this lawlessness for emotive purposes. So it's something that I think they maybe need to have. In other words, I'm sorry, justice demands that as this 14-year-old was deprived of all of these years of his young life, courageous as he was, according to the defiance detailed in that Look magazine article, well, you can be deprived of the last few years of your life in exchange. I think that's only fair.
I agree with you, Judge. Let's go after her and let the people decide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
see, you got prepping, and that poor boy didn't even get out of being a preteen.
No,
that's right.
Yeah, and I want to share with
you are.
But the district attorney, could. Yeah, what did you say, Judge?
I said she's confessed essentially many times to being a participant in the kidnapping. She says, I didn't think they were going to do that. But, you know.
Well, Emmett Till's uncle said he heard a woman's voice say, is this the boy? And she said, that's him. So Emmett didn't identify him, didn't say, it's me. I did it. Someone else did it. He said he heard a voice light as a feather, like a woman. So it had to have been her.
And then the other thing that makes it worse, she now claims she falsified the claim that he did something disrespectful to her.
Well, it's worse. In the memoir, she's saying he actually said something wrong. He made a remark saying, I'll fuck you or something like that.
No, but she says that's false now. She did it because she was afraid of her abusive boyfriend. I guess she was undemented enough to come up with that kind of excuse.
Bullshit. Why can't the United States attorney go after her?
Well, what are they going to get her for? Deprivation of civil rights?
Yes.
That's about it. But you see, the homicide and the kidnapping, those are state matters and it's state jurisdiction, because none of this seems to have transpired on a federal enclave.
Well, the Biden administration stated that they're not going to pursue charges, and I remember Trump,
naturally.
But Trump reopened the case.
Mm-hmm. But you know he's racist, so he doesn't count. They say.
Well, but Biden was not. You saw what Biden did with the Arbery case. Well, their administration, they tried to work out a deal with the murderers to do their time in federal prison, and the family objected.
No, speaking of him, did you see the announcement that the U.S. lost 600,000 jobs last month?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're redefining this term successions, what a recession means as well.
Oh, yeah, but
Yes.
the definition of depression, recession was set up during FDR's era. And by every single one of the indications, it's a depression. It's not a recession. And they want to get around that. But everybody knows how badly these incompetents have messed up. And it's the worst since they've been keeping these stats and, well, not stats, but these polls for the last 50 years. Every single
closed their office in California.
Yeah, every time a president has dropped below a certain level in his favorable ratings, his party has lost control of whatever chamber of Congress that they control. So, or gotten further behind. So this is the absolute worst, and the midterms ought to be a Democratic disaster. And Kamala Harris is even worse than him. In fact, her ratings are so bad that shares are worse than Spiro Agnew's ratings. That was the vice president under Tricky Dick, I am not a crook, Nixon. And he wound up serving time in a state penitentiary and
He was under Ford
for wrongdoing. So her ratings are worse than his after he got convicted.
Yeah. Lord knows if something happens to Biden, Lord knows.
Well, what happens if something happens to Biden, Kamala moves to president and Nancy Pelosi becomes VP. By the way,
it's going to be bad.
By the way, good rationalization for her being over there in China, and that is that the president and the vice president are both incapable of handling the difficulties associated with that high level diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala is salad queen, the Europeans call her, because she throws word salad at people instead of coherent arguments or persuasive diplomatic discourse, and just acts like she throws together stuff off of the top of her head, which isn't very good. And her staff are quitting, saying we spend so much time staying up all night long preparing briefings for this fool that she won't even read. And Biden's just a flat out embarrassment that looks like he's the most incompetent idiot in D.C. in the last century. And that would start at the end of Woodrow Wilson's era.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
These people even make an attempt to work together. That's what I don't understand. You're elected to do the people's work, but you don't make an attempt to work together. So where's the rationale? There's no rationale.
And see, the problem with Pelosi being over there is a year or so ago, the Air Force and the Navy issued white papers. They say, hey, look, if the Chinese decide to invade Taiwan, there's nothing we can do short of going to a full nuclear World War III scenario, because we don't have enough F-22s in the inventory to last more than the first 24 hours against. We've got maybe 40 completely operational F-22s and F-35s that we aren't too sure of, because 11 years ago, the Chinese hacked into their computer system and could capably ground the whole fleet or ground any individual aircraft, cause it to fall out of the sky. So with their advanced aircraft, of which they have about 1,400, they could kick our ass basically in 48 hours, and we'd have to get out. And the Navy says we've got two surface warfare designs. One was first launched in 1972 That's the Ticonderoga class cruiser based on an earlier destroyer hull. And then we've got the RLI Burks, and the first one was launched in 1984. And our solution is more of the same, and we need another 2 nuclear aircraft carriers because the Jerry Ford, their catapults don't work, and it's been down for 8 years in technical reserve because it's never been fully operational, and they don't have the money to fix the problems. The Obama administration grounded and mothballed the F-14s just after they got the engines they were supposed to have. So you've got the FA-18, and that was a substitute standard to make up for the inability to afford enough F-14s. And now you got the F-35, which is still not fully operational. So while we whoopee, the U.S. Navy cannot, under the current circumstances, guarantee that it would be able to transport Army and Marine troops to Taiwan to reinforce the locals against the Chinese invasion. And the Air Force says we could not maintain or even obtain air superiority within the first critical 24-hour period because the Chinese are well within range of, without even drop tanks, their fighter aircraft of Taiwan, and we are a long way from home. And the aircraft carriers, we simply don't have the payload of operational air superiority vehicles to do what we need to do. So their suggestion, both of them, was kind of funny in a weird way. They both earnestly suggested that whoever was president craft a face-saving speech because we're going to get our asses whooped if it comes to that.
Yeah. You have one last question then?
What about, you mentioned about the Army and Marines, but what about that 1 million man army that the Chinese have?
1 million man?
1 million plus.
The Chinese can mobilize and have 12 million men operational within 6 or 7 or 8 weeks. So what the hell are we supposed to do?
Yeah, sit down and watch them march.
Yeah. And by the way, you ever seen them march?
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, it looks better than the New York or Vegas chorus line. Everybody is exactly the same. You see a picture of them?
Yeah.
I took a protractor one time. I said, damn,
There's
not anybody, out more than a half a degree in terms of the angle when they're marching. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And remember, it's universal. And January 21st last year, the Chinese implemented a specified man-up program. The Russians already have one, and what are we doing? We got advertisements where we have 2 women in uniform lip kissing, mouth kissing each other, and 2 guys in uniform holding hands, and one with his head on the other shoulder. That's what we have.
Yeah. I had, when I worked for the Navy as a pharmacist, I had one or several men who became transgender, and they wanted me to dispense female hormones. And at one point, I said I couldn't do that because it's just not morally right. And legally, they tried to make me. But I told them, you can't make me dispense anything. That's my license up there. If you want to bring me on charges or to dismiss me or fire me, that's another thing. But I'm going to fight you. But I refused to give this stuff out because I knew what it was going to do. And morally, I couldn't do it because it was against the laws of nature for me. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I just held my ground.
If you've seen this thing, CDC issued a report, an advisory saying these puberty blockers causes blindness and visual acuity deterioration in children.
Yeah.
And what stuff is designed for is, let's say you've got an 8-year-old girl who is getting ready to have her menstrual cycles. First one, that's just too early, so it's supposed to delay that. Same thing for boys 9 and under who are demonstrating symptomology of becoming going through their puberty. So that's too early. That's what it's for. But they're using it for the general purpose of blocking somebody's transition through puberty so they don't pick up gender specific physical traits. And that is a warning from the CDC that it causes blindness and visual acuity problems, headaches, and brain damage often. But you know what? That is being suppressed by the Biden administration and by the mainstream news media. They won't touch it.
And Twitter.
Well, I put it out on Twitter, but you know what was funny? How I had to do it? I'd sent articles around, no problem. Sent it to myself, no problem. But when I tried to post it on Twitter, it says unable to process at this time. Check back later. So I did over a 12-hour period, no success. So here's what I did. I transmitted it. I put commentary in it. I took a face shot of it, screenshot of it, blip. And then I went to Twitter and I posted, I said, Twitter has been attempting to block this for the last several hours. It is a very interesting article detailing how puberty blockers cause blindness, et cetera, So then I posted a screenshot of the article and the caption on it. And the caption was more inflammatory in the sense than the whole article was. So they got stuck with it. And it got tweeted and retweeted it. So I went around it. I said, let me get creative here. But Twitter was not allowing it to be posted. So I said, they can't read the photograph yet. So I just made commentary and included the screenshot as a photographic exhibit. So
I think I put it on my website because Facebook has something about did Facebook say that this is fact checked or something like that? Something like that. I just put it on my website.
No, but the point is Center for Disease Control. That's their darling, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's what they always rely upon. But when it comes up with something that's negative to their little point, oh no.
They said, show you right, Dr. Richard. They were agreeing with you. Well, I had asked if anybody wanted to call in before we get out of here. I had put the number up, 504-656-6760, as this will be last call. If anybody has a call, they can call in. Hold on a second. I got to make sure I got to turn this off before we do that. Turn off the do not disturb. Hold on. Yeah, it's 10:30. Anybody wants to call in, the number is 656-6760. I got this person is always here. No matter how many times I block them, they put these love dating sites. Ugh.
From to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Danielle, you're driving.
Huh?
You got the music or noise in the background. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, no, I don't have any music in the background. Just have my fan on. Is it causing interference?
We can hear you. I just didn't know if that was background noise or what. But
sounds like somebody talking in the background.
Oh wait, I forgot. I have some little soothing classical music playing for my son, but keep him to knock him out. Let's pause it right quick. That's probably what it is. It's on my laptop. Okay, is that better?
Sounds a little better.
Okay, well, the other noise is the fan. I was calling to say that I've been thoroughly enjoying the commentaries tonight, and I've learned a lot from listening to the judge and you and King BJ. I just want, oh yeah, and Dr. Richard. I've enjoyed y'all tonight, and thank you for what y'all putting out and everything. The truth about stuff. Just having a better understanding of like how stuff operate as far as like with the law and just like stuff I've never even heard before, things that weren't made public, like, for example, with the OJ trial and stuff, this is things I had never heard before.
Yeah.
So, but overall, I really, really enjoyed tonight's commentary. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate you. Danielle is
Thank you.
calling into the show, so we're always happy to have her call in. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
Yeah. You all, I can take one more call. 656-6760. I haven't seen Black Voltron lately. What's been up with him? Anybody know? In the chat? Black Voltron always support. Yeah. Might be busy with work and school. That happens. Yeah. Well, Judge, nobody else is calling in yet, but y'all want to promote something? King BJ, what are you doing?
Well, right now, like I said, it's been rather hot down here. So, like I said, I've just been doing my thing, working out and doing a couple of events, trying to get back out to Memphis sooner or later. Had a friend of mine, he went to go hang out with Ron Sunday. Brother Turner, he hung out with Ron Sunday. They went to, so shout out to Ron Hurd. Got to get back out to Memphis, see what's going on with the judge and stuff. Maybe go to a restaurant again. Stay longer this time. I gotta come up to Memphis sometime. Matter of fact, there was brother Rico. He does streaming on Facebook. Judge, he said he's interested in helping you with your campaign for mayor. And,
all right.
Yeah, and congratulations, because Judge received was, I believe, inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame, not the Basketball Association, but the National Bar Association.
Black,
which I'm a member of. So congratulations to the judge.
Thank you. Applause for me is applause for yourself. All right. But anyway, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Right.
Hall of Fame weekend, NFL this weekend. Not joking, do it.
Judge, do you want to talk about your barbecue a little
bit?
Yeah,
the barbecue sauce is doing well. If you want to get some of the best damn sauce you've ever wrapped your tongue around and swallowed, you need to get some of mine. Judge Joe Brown, that's JJB Barbecue, BBQ.com, JJBBBQ.com. And for next year, JJB for mayor of Memphis, Tennessee in 2023. Send Brown downtown.
That's right. Get some barbecue sauce, you shish-ified little punks.
Hey, so I'm into providing public service and selling sauce.
That's right.
Let me bring up something with that, Judge. Also, I was thinking about something that you were saying about running for mayor. Tonight, I think it was 2 days ago, Pennsylvania, they upheld their Supreme Court said they can maintain their mail-in ballot or something. So just point it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to,
but you don't run to next year, so you got a lot of time to talk about it. Don't worry about it. Just hey, 2023.
2023, AJB for mayor.
And I just want to give you good commentary and compliments on yesterday with Dr. Carmen Johnson and being the ambassador on that board and right before her book. So that was interesting. So
Doc is an interesting person, and she bravely went through a lot of torture and wrongdoing because some of the Obama folk and Soros and other people were very much against her exposing fraudulent foreclosure of mortgages. Or
yeah,
mortgage foreclosures.
yeah, shout out to Dr. Johnson. Yeah, I had her on my show last year. We talked about that. She's a very interesting woman. Good woman.
Very pretty too.
And shout out to you as well, Gavin, for keeping this show going in the midst of all this censorship and other things going on. And
Thank you.
And
yeah,
he's doing some culinary stuff too with this seasoning, and so that was a great book you came up with
Yes.
about what happened with Dr. Cosby. I must commend Brother Richard for that, Attorney Richard.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Richard, he must have taken a lot of it from you, sir.
Well, his mother had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and this is Nani's. Judge has some Nani's Creole seasoning blends. You all can get it too at naniscreoleblends.com. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nani's goes great with every dish. We're trying to get it in stores as we speak, but it'll be coming soon. And the book, yes, Judge, thank you for shouting out the book. I've been on his show with Valerie Denise Jones. Shout out to Valerie. This is where you can order the book on Kindle. I'm trying to get it in paperback, but it's The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. And it's based that, ladies and gentlemen, it is a 101 on why we have a criminal justice system, but also why we have the presumption of innocence. I explain all of that, and what happened to Dr. Cosby can happen to any American in this country. Think of the people who don't have the money that Dr. Cosby had. And this was a man who was a multi-millionaire, still is, that has given this country, served this country in the Navy, but also has given over $100 million to HBCUs. Many people forget that. He's always tried to show the Black community in a positive light, and he was railroaded in this trial. And, the Supreme Court confirmed it. But read the book. We go through everything. A lot of people I know who have the book. A couple of people have complimented me. So, but you all ought to check it out and subscribe to the Facebook page. You see it there at Commonwealth Cos, where we talk more in detail about some topics that are going on. By the way, Dr. Cosby is apparently filing a motion for a new trial in his civil matter that was out in Los Angeles that he actually won because he doesn't have to pay millions of dollars to this woman. And by the time he paid anything, all of us going to be eaten up in attorney's fees anyway. So, but he's filed a motion for a new trial and is obviously going to appeal it, which is the normal process of what they're doing. But
I talked to him personally and his PR person.
Me too.
And he's doing it as a matter of principle. So good for him. Somebody, I don't like settling all of these cases as people have been doing. Some of them need to be tried so some points can be made and precedents set.
Most definitely. You have something to say, Dad?
I just said that my wife and I had the pleasure of speaking to Cosby one afternoon, and he made such an indelible print on me as a human being. It was just something in people that you don't see in this day and age, or see in people. And he seems to be a wonderful human being.
He's also the last one standing in terms of comedians who were groundbreaking. Coming from the 1960s. When they had Richard Pryor and Godfrey Cambridge and Dick Gregory and Flip Wilson. And Red Fox. I look back at it, especially being a comic myself, and realize he's the last one left. So people that get mad because he didn't like Def Jam or he didn't like your comedy. Well, this is a man who was able to make millions he didn't have to utter profanity if he didn't want to. So he was probably just trying to show you another way. But nevertheless, I don't agree with censorship, but I respect Dr. Cosby and what he's done and what his position is. So I appreciate, I had a pleasure talking to him. I was surprised he called me because Andrew had, I had gotten off with the interview with Andrew, And then as I'm getting ready to leave, my folks and I were going out somewhere. I pick up the phone and Andrew says, "Gavin, I got Dr. Cosme on the line." And I heard that voice, "Gavin, where is your body now, son?" You know. So I was shook, to say the least. I've spoken to Dick Gregory. I've spoken to Dick Gregory. I've met Spidey. I've talked to Bill Cosby, so it's complete.
Jello pudding.
Yeah, and I'm no Judge Joe Brown. Yeah, Jello pudding. You see, I used to love you, but now I hate you because you grow up and you become stupid. You know. Your kids, you grow up to become stupid and you listen to the hippity, the hoppity, and you don't stop it, and all of that nonsense. So, yeah, well, that's enough for that.
You've got pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's it for this program. If you enjoyed the live stream, give it a thumbs up and please donate to the Cash App. YouTube has banned my channel. My channel is not monetized despite having over 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate if anyone would support to please donate to the Cash App and PayPal. If you love this live stream, share it. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell when we go live. If you'd like to advertise with the channel, we have the email there. And we also have our Patreon. And another way to support us is to check out my music. And also like Video Soul, which is on Amazon, iTunes, and Apple. And also got to get on up. Gentlemen, I thank you all for a great night. And Thursday, I will be on with Sean James. And I have reached out to Dana. So if I have time, I might be able to talk. I'll see if I can.
You mentioned to it hooked up.
Oh, she told you?
Talked to a little while ago, yeah.
Yeah, I had emailed her.
Okay, well, Dr. Richard, Attorney Richard, Young Brother Johnson. I got to go. This has been Judge Joe. Catch when you can, because I'm about to
sir.
that ran.
Take your time, Judge.
All right. I'm
Good night, Gavin.
Good night. Night, Bernard.
Thank you so much.
And now time, ladies and gentlemen, to get on up. Let's go on and get out of here. Say good night, Dad.
Good night.
All right. Good night, Judge Joe.
All right. I'm trying to get this app to work so I can leave it. It seems to be non-cooperative. But anyway, I'll figure out.
He found it. All right, guys. It's time to get on up. Let's get out of here. Yeah, it's okay.
Girl, come on. Gotta dance to the beat. Because on the dance floor is where we'll be. Show me what you got. Gotta feel the groove.
Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Right now the party's wasted. There's nothing much to do. But once the groove gets started, tell me, what do you have to lose? Just look into my eyes, girl, as we glide across the room. And what to my surprise now, the beat takes hold of you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really moving. Time to get your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on the. Tell the DJ play the whispers. Rock steady in the mood. Put on earth, wind, and fire. Tonight we're gonna groove. Show me how you do the four corners. Electric slide or two. Hit the bus stop or do the bunny hop, baby. It's really up to you. Now if you're feeling like I'm feeling, so come on baby, let's start dealing. Time to get this party started. Ain't no time for the broken hearted. When the rhythm takes hold of you, there's only one thing left to do. Cause the beat is really grooving. Time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up. Now, 2020 hasn't been the best year of all times. We've been dealing with death, the pandemic, racism, bad policing, and all the bad rhymes. But like Uncle Snoop once said, if you breathe and you achieve. And so, if you're ready, I need you all to get on up. Are you ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Get your butt on the dance floor. 5 and 6 and 7, 8. This jam we appreciate. We're gonna slide and step on the beat. On the dance floor is where we'll be. Feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on up and move your body. Cause when the beat is really grooving, it's time to feel your body moving. Gotta get on up and shake something. Feel the groove, get on. Get on. Yeah, gotta get on. Come on, baby, gotta get on. Baby, feel the groove, get on the floor. Get on.
Good night, YouTube. All you little punks better buy Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. Get it and man up. Wait, Dad, I'm still alive. Good night, y'all.